Today's guest is Sam Valentine, people and culture leader at Miro, the visual workspace platform. In this episode, Sam shares what it's been like shaping the culture in a fast growing tech startup and honestly shares the challenges they've faced. I was so inspired by the creativity and vulnerability that comes through in how they do things, and I know you will be too. So let's dive in. Hi, Sam, and welcome to Make It Thrive.
Hi Lizzie, great to be here.
So, the first thing I want to ask you to kind of put all of my friends and I in the clear is how do we pronounce Miro? Is it Miro or Miro? Because all of us will sit in a meeting often and start having this conversation about how it's pronounced. Clear that up for me, please.
It's Miro. As far as I'm concerned, it's Miro. I do hear it pronounced a lot of different ways, but Miro. Like
Miro.
it's named after the Spanish painter.
Yeah, that's what everyone keeps saying. And I'm like, that's how it's pronounced. Yeah, Miro.
Yeah,
There
but
we
I
go.
do hear Miro a lot from customers and outside.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Miro.
I slip into Miro sometimes. I don't know why. I think it's just one of those things, when you kind of aren't 100% sure how something is pronounced, so then you end up saying it lots of different ways.
Because it's too close to Biro. It looks like Biro, but yeah, it's the Spanish. And my Spanish accent is not it's not going to do, but yeah, Miro.
Miro, amazing. And how long have you been with Miro, Sam?
It feels like a very long time. It's about two and a half years. I always feel like in my head I still feel like I'm really new, but it's 2.5 years, and I'm pretty much over average tenure at the moment. Obviously, we're a very young
Oh,
company, so
yeah.
yeah, it's two and a half years, but that time has flown by.
Oh, amazing. And what surprised you the most when you started at Miro?
Lots of things surprised me. I think one of the things that surprised me is that people like me could come and work at a place like Miro. Like I still I say this to our CEO quite a lot. I've said it to various people. I still sort of look around sometimes and just sort of think to myself, it's amazing that I'm here. Like, I grew up in Somerset. I worked in the public sector. Like I left school at 16. I put myself back into school very quickly. Like I did jobs like being a cleaner and like working in a bingo hall. I never thought I'd end up at a company that I genuinely loved, doing a job that's really cool. So
Yeah.
that was the surprise, and the fact that there are a lot of people like me, like
Mm,
at a place like Miro. And again, maybe not a surprise. I think it's probably fairly obvious, but just how much we use Miro and how much we use the product and the philosophy behind the product for absolutely everything, and
wow.
how much that's changed my life. Like
Wow.
I use Miro boards for literally everything. Like
Welcome to the club.
yeah, but like someone on my team like managed her whole wedding on a Miro board. Like I've done like designing this the studio I'm in now in a Miro board. Like if I'm planning a holiday, that's in Miro. Like so it's taken over my life, and that was yeah a bit of a surprise, but a very welcome one as well.
Yeah. Well, I am definitely in the Miro obsessives club as well because as well as using it for client work, I'm the same. I just love, I say to all of my friends, I'm like, you need a Miro board. They're like, what's the Miro? I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is going to change your life, guys. I'm like showing them what I've done because I do ones around, yeah, literally everything. So again, I've done ones around holidays or travel plans that me and my partner have. We've got like, we share a board about holidays and travel plans. I'm a big personal development geek, so I have like my own personal development Miro board. So it's like everything. I just think, well, this just makes sense, and yeah, I'm obsessed with it, and it has so many capacities to dip into different things. I love it.
Oh yeah, I mean I've seen the product roadmap, and yeah, we had a an all hands meeting yesterday or two days ago, and what's coming up is genuinely mind melting. I'm not allowed to share too many
Yeah,
details
no,
about it, but it
exciting.
genuinely kind of it blew my mind watching it. But like I don't understand how people can conceive of these ideas, let alone put them into practice. But like just super cool, like how
Mm.
we're using AI, how we're bringing teams together, how like it's really fostering innovation. So like that's really exciting. So
Oh,
I started using Miro years ago, like most people, I think, in the
yeah.
pandemic with stickies and virtual
Yeah.
collaboration, and that's still kind of mostly how I use it. But like, the sophistication and what you can do with it, and like the building on ideas and collaborating, it's
Yeah.
really cool. It's really, really interesting and such a cool place to work as well for that reason.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to say, so we could just literally talk about how people can use Miro boards, like literally for this entire podcast. Um, so I do have to remember to bring it back to culture because otherwise I will get carried away. So I was going to say, is there one, speaking of boards, is there one kind of culture board that you guys have that you're like, this is the most popular board we have, and tell us more?
So I don't know that we have one most popular board. Like we like the community, like the people who make the boards, like there are so many. We have actually just been developing our culture canvas. Because I think we're going to change that name, but at the moment it's called the Culture Canvas, which is a board where we're basically sort of does expressing our culture in the form of a Miro board. So linking together how our values show up, how they translate into behaviors, how that what that means from a mindset point of view, how that influences the way of working. And like the idea behind it is that how we work is what we sell to our customers. So if we work with maximum collaboration and maximum innovation, like that's really what we're selling. Like is collaboration,
Yeah,
innovation, and all that cool stuff. And the product is an expression of that. So that
definitely.
that board is really interesting and really, really cool. But I'm trying to sort of condense it down into a clear articulation of how these things flow into each other. It's not been
Yeah.
an easy process. It's
No, no.
really, really interesting one. How we sort of keep that true to the spirit of radical candor and collaboration, and anyone can come in and obviously comment and get involved and change. So that's been really interesting. So yeah, at the moment it's called our culture canvas. I think it might change along the way, but
Yeah,
yeah, really, really fascinating like project
that's
to be part of.
amazing. That sounds like, yeah, an awesome board to have. And is it kind of open to everyone as well? So you've said that people can like comment on it and go. So would the way I'm imagining it, Sam, is almost like that internal intranet kind of culture space where people can collaborate and sort of share ideas about culture. That's how I'm kind of imagining it. Is that what you say it would be?
Yeah, basically, yeah. That's how it will be. So we don't have an intranet because yeah, obviously like the whole sort of premise of yeah. So with apologies to all the people who reach out to me on LinkedIn trying to sell me intranets. Like completely lost my train of thought. Yeah, so we keep everything on the board. So like the idea being that yeah, you can come in. Like it's going to be really important for onboarding around performance management time. There's fixed content, but you can layer on talk tracks and comments and sort of add into that. So again, the idea being it will be very collaborative.
Oh, that is so cool. Because I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things, isn't it? You see a lot of brands doing these kind of slide decks or intranets, and it doesn't feel very collaborative. Like there's no real like participation in the culture. Like it feels very closed and like it's kind of not available to people. There might be the policies and things there, but it's not really something that people can collaborate together on or kind of participate in. So yeah, the fact that it's all on like Miro is and it's a collaborative space. It kind of really opens it up into a totally different dynamic.
Yeah, no, it really does. And I think, yeah, there's a lot out there. There's a lot of, yeah, Netflix is a really like famous one, their culture deck. And like, I'm not saying this about Netflix at all. I think it's a great document, but I think some of what I see, like, it is really good PR.
Yeah.
And also, it's fairly easy to put out big aspirational statements.
Yeah.
I think when you do have it really collaborative, and when you do sort of ask everyone to hold you account, it's much more difficult to actually come to an agreement because culture is culture. Like no, there's no perfect culture. No one gets it right.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
So you're always going to have challenge and you're always going to have like accountability, which makes it much more difficult to sort of, yeah, say this is definitively it.
Yeah.
But I think it feels more honest and hopefully,
Yeah.
I can't say we anyone's got this 100% right because it's like hopefully it's participatory as well. Like if
Mm.
everyone is responsible for culture, everyone builds the
Yeah.
culture. It's not just a pitch deck that gets put out.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I love that so much. I mean, I could, like I say, I could go on for this whole podcast about Miro because every time I use it for a lot of my client sessions. So as well as remote sessions that I run, any in-person sessions, I always create a board as well. And we kind of, so that that way, outside of those in-person sessions, there's still something that people can participate in. And it's like, it feels a lot more like it's constantly flowing when we're doing work together rather than that stagnation between sessions. And I think all of pretty much most of my clients have gone, what is this? How do I get this? Because this is amazing. Like this just takes our collaboration to a whole different level. And it does. There's so many times where people have kind of gone, I didn't know that you could do things this way. And I was like, yeah, welcome. Welcome to the Myroverse.
Yeah, yeah, but this is exact. So our sort of approach, like to simplify it right down is it's kind of if you imagine like an infinity loop, and on the left side is discover, in the middle is define, and on the right is deliver. So discover, define, deliver, and you like mirror boards are great for discovery. You bring in opinions and ideas, and like that's where all the stickies and everything comes from. Then you've got a definition stage where you can sort of lock things down and turn it into like your tables, your workflows, your diagrams, and then the delivery. So maybe like things like prototyping or actually moving stuff to readiness. And then it comes back to, so if you sort of really simplify it down to that flow, I think,
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of the ethos that a lot of our product development is built around.
Yeah. And I feel for me as a culture coach, the one thing that my kind of philosophy towards all of this work that I'm always saying to my clients is it's evolutionary. Like it constantly evolves, right? Because people seem to want to have this like end state in mind constantly. And it's like you never get there, guys. Like I hate to say it, but there's always going to be something where you're evolving the next thing or adapting or progressing. And I feel like, like tools like Miro really helps to kind of almost like ingrain this philosophy into the culture because they're aware of like, oh yeah, this is a constantly evolving, adapting, agile thing.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to say to people when I talk about culture is like it doesn't really matter what culture is. Like and everyone sort of spends a lot of time. Everyone, I'm a fan of a big grandiose thing. A lot of people spend a lot of time trying to sort of articulate a culture or say
Hmm.
our culture
Yeah.
is collaborative, our culture is risk averse, whatever it might be. It's more important what culture does. And so, like, there's a difference between an innovative culture and a culture that drives innovation.
Yeah.
And what companies do is going to change a lot.
Yeah.
It's like you got your core thing, but like the way you go to market or the way you bring out a new product or like that's going to change. And so culture constantly, exactly as you're saying, like constantly needs to evolve or
Yeah.
flex,
Yeah.
do what you need it to do. And sometimes that's in the moment, sometimes that's over years, and sometimes that's different in your marketing team than your people team.
Yeah.
So yeah, this really amorphous culture kind of as product that drives an outcome. Like that's very difficult to pin down. And again, that sort of
Hmm.
comes back to yeah, constantly needing to discover, define, and then actually deliver something that targets a specific need.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, absolutely agree with that. So, from my understanding, Miro is a completely remote, predominantly a remote company or remote first, should I say? Is that true?
Yes-ish. Like yeah, I don't yeah, yes. We're remote first, but with really big, busy, amazing offices.
Oh, love
So
it.
obviously, yeah, Miro was is all about virtual. What like we don't. So it's innovation workspace now, but originally, so yeah, and a few years ago, it was virtual collaboration, and
Yeah.
so that async virtual collaboration is still really important. So I don't think we're ever going to be like fully office. We do have amazing office spaces, and like I think people are. like over the years, people have self-selected into the patterns. Like there's no
Yeah.
return to office mandates. Like there is a culture of trust. We've seen that self-selection happen, and yes, we do have thriving offices, but sort of culturally remote,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a I think it's sort of truly hybrid.
Yeah. A truly hybrid. Oh, I like that, Sam. Truly hybrid.
It's not the fake hybrid that you have to be in like 2 days a week or 3 days a week. It's like go where work works. And so if that's 3 days
Yeah.
in the office this week and you're not back in for 3 weeks, that's fine.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So yeah, but yeah, and we're very global,
Mm.
and yeah, collaboration is all around the world all the time.
Yeah. So with that in mind, Sam, with that like hybrid setup and that globalization, how do you kind of keep the culture alive within that international team? Is there kind of like rhythms or rituals that help you kind of with that collaboration? What would you say kind of keeps that alive within the team?
I'm trying to think of the sort of the main rituals. I think
Mm.
yeah, we have regular all hands. Our CEO does a monthly top of mind like drop in. Like so he's very visible. All of our leaders are really good at like holding AMAs and virtual drop-ins. So there's kind of like set piece rituals which really help. With thriving Slack channels. So like our Slack is, and shout out to the comms team, like very well managed. So there's a lot of connection through that. But I think the true connection probably more comes through like our events and workplace team who really facilitate great like and it's sort of subtle facilitation, but just facilitate people getting together and doing things. I think our sort of biggest culture ritual that really brings people together is probably a hackathon. So we
Oh,
run like
yeah.
every 6 months ish, run a hackathon, which is literally get together, form a team, come up with an idea, build the idea, and then someone's gonna win. And like very often that goes through into the product, but
Mm,
that can be like anyone in the company can come up with an idea and like find some people who have the expertise to put that into practice. So
amazing.
that's a great example. I
Yeah.
think there are the regular get-togethers, like the parties. We've started doing fails nights, internal fails nights. We're not allowed to call them fuck up nights. They're fails nights. Sort of vulnerability sessions where like anyone can get up and we give them a bit of coaching in public speaking and talk about the time you failed and answer
Yeah.
questions about it. And that sort of brings people together. And
Oh,
then the ERGs, like fostering community, I think yeah, most companies sort of have that. The clubs and communities, we've got a board games club and a running club, those sorts of things.
yeah.
But the support for that is very organic. Like these communities like pop up very organically. And
Yeah.
we try not to policy them or like oh that's it's just yeah, we've got great people who want to connect with each other. We should be supporting them. And there's a
Mm,
bit of guidance, so we need to make sure that like yeah, we've got the right security in place. But basically we want people to foster that community. So
yeah.
that's kind of what keeps it going. And then yeah, you start to see the local office flavors like in Amsterdam compared to Berlin, compared to Sydney, for example. But they're all thriving in their own way, but it does
Yeah.
feel quite organic.
Oh, I love that so much because it's really interesting when I speak into a lot of companies that have this international dynamic. They seem to feel like they have to create this very monoculture that they have to then kind of enforce across all of their other teams, and it feels non-organic. And it's sometimes when I'm trying to kind of support them in seeing how they're kind of trying to control the culture a bit too much, and actually the that you've given the beautiful examples there of actually you're fostering culture in a much more organic way, and this idea of community and things people want to be part of
Yeah.
rather than saying you have to be part of this and you have to do things this way.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, our events team who are amazing. Like I've had this conversation with them so many times. Like events don't create culture. You can't make culture happen by putting on an event. They express culture.
Yeah.
So if things are broken, an event's not going to work as well. And if things are flying, then then events are going to go better.
Yeah.
But also that means like the culture of an office is going to show up through like the participation in events. So again, like you've got to support and foster like culture to happen. And there is sort of a monoculture. Like nobody's going to come into Miro and thrive if they're not innovative and not collaborative
Yeah.
and don't
Yeah.
have a certain humility. Like there is that monoculture. Then there's nobody's going to really succeed unless you have a bias for collaboration and innovation.
Yeah.
And so
Definitely.
there is that. But that again, that happens quite naturally and it's sort of intentional through hiring and performance and everything. But all the other stuff is really organic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing those rituals because I think it's really interesting for people to hear that you have those kind of rituals and those rhythms of things that kind of keep everyone connected with that idea of sharing information, the CEO being able to share and being transparent and that those fail conversations are so important for fostering that psychological safety between team members and getting that depth of humanity in the culture rather than just like this surface level culture that can really easily happen, like actually connecting on a much more human deep level of like we're all human and we all have failings in our life, like there's no perfect life sort of thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the rituals I really like is whenever we have a merger or an acquisition or a new team joins, new company, like that's always kind of announced on all hands, and they always bring one ritual with them. And the
Mm,
one that for me has really sort of really worked well and really stuck with me. I don't know who to ascribe this to, so I'm not going to say which company in case I get it wrong. But it's the concept of bad version.
mm,
Start with the bad version and label it as bad version, and then it's fine. Like if there's mistakes and typos and it's a bit crap or it doesn't make sense, like it's fine. It's bad version. Other people will come in and take it to good version. But
yeah.
you don't need to make it perfect. You need to make it start.
Yeah.
And like that as a ritual has become really well ingrained as well.
Mm.
But it's not an excuse for bad work. It's here's my thought, help me polish it,
Yeah.
help me build it, like feedback. And so
Yeah.
we're like the culture canvas that we talked about earlier, like
Yeah.
the bad version of that, which I wrote, was a terrible version. And it's kind of painful to hand it over and have people go, "Oh, this doesn't make sense. This is ridiculous."
Yeah.
But the speed which you get to good version is
Yeah.
amplified. So, like rituals like that, I think really
Oh,
help like foster that culture.
yeah.
It's okay for your work to be crap because you make
Yeah.
it better like that, and
Yeah.
that's fine. And like
Yeah.
yeah, for me, that's been transformative.
I feel like that needs to be on a t-shirt as well, Sam. Like that's the kind of thing just get started. Like start with the bad version and make it better. Because it's just so easy to be in this, and I certainly suffer from this a lot of the time in many of the projects, or like for example, this podcast, the first episode of this podcast is probably crap. But you just need to start, right? And
Yeah,
you're never going to start with like this amazing award-winning polished, perfect podcast. Like that just doesn't happen. So, we're all so guilty of getting into that perfectionist mindset and also believing that our way is always the perfected, the right way without that collective knowledge and that collective wisdom of someone going, oh, actually, have you thought about doing it this way? So I love that that also links in with that humility at Miro.
yeah, and I think that's fairly strong. I think humility is important. And again, like a lesson I learned along the way. Again, like when I started, I was like making miracle, and I was making like if I had a presentation, I was going to a leadership team or CEO, I'd make it beautiful, and I would design it and make it look. I'm not a designer, so it wouldn't look that great, but I would put time into it. And then I think as a CEO, it's like stop bringing me like beautiful mirror. Like I see great mirror boards all the time. Like bring me ideas. Like it's fine. I don't need to see that you know how to size a font or like make a box like a line. Yeah, no, that's a very fair. It's a very fair challenge. Focus on the idea and like,
Yeah,
is the idea right? And I think there's a certain sort of humility to that as well. Like, no, it doesn't need to be polished and perfect. It
yeah,
needs to be. good enough to get to a state where you will make it polished and perfect.
Yeah, definitely. So talking about kind of, things that go wrong or things that challenge us, what would you say are the things like that you're still working on at Miro in terms of the culture? Because there's so much complexity, right, with being international, with having that hybrid setup, with this kind of innovation and creativity really at the forefront of everything you do. So what would you say is something you're comfortable sharing with us that still feels like it's a challenge or sort of something you're kind of evolving at the moment?
I hope it's not too glib to say like everything's a challenge because it should be because I don't think you should ever rest on your laurels and think things are sort of fixed or perfect. That's not to say like everything's
Yeah.
broken, but we try and pay attention to all areas, and it's just again really asking the question: is this working for what we're trying to do? So I think that sort of on a macro level, the challenge has been yeah how the scale. How do you scale from small startup to big scale up to like established company, and there is a lot of identity crisis within that. We really sort of exploded in size through the pandemic and like that hyper growth. I mean, obviously it sort of helped, but it was Miro's on that trajectory anyway. But how do you sustain a culture when you've just brought in 1,000 new people and everyone brings in cultures with them? So that sort of challenge of really being clear on what our culture
Mm,
means to us and how we preserve it and articulate it, that's been a challenge and sort of finding that consistency.
mm,
I think sort of navigating all the macro changes that happen, and for a tech company in 2025, like we've been through layoffs, we've been
um,
through sort of good times, less good times. Yeah, how do you navigate through that and sort of manage change effectively? We need to pivot, we need to move, but people need stability and predictability.
mm,
And yeah, from a workforce point of view, like people join companies like Miro because they are passionate and they care and they are proud and like all those things. And then something like layoffs happen,
mm,
and there's a sort of dissonance which we need to overcome. So that's been a challenge as well, of just really sort of re-fostering the trust, the resilience, and
yeah,
all those sorts of things. So yeah, it's yeah, there's definite there's always work to be done.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
always work to be done.
yeah,
Um, yeah, there's a lot of areas, like I say, we sort of
yeah,
pay very close attention to, but like on a macro level, I think
yeah.
those are the bigger ones.
And I think it's also, I think for people listening, that'll be, very, humbling to hear for them because I think it's really easy when I'm sure maybe you might feel this the same, you're sometimes inside an organization and you feel very isolated to the things that are going on and you can kind of easily look outside and start comparing what you're doing with others and thinking, oh, we're not doing things right in quotes or this way or that way, and start to have that comparisonitis and start feeling very isolated and not wanting to talk about these challenges, which then only isolates you even further. And there is that tendency I've certainly seen over the past sort of 7 years that what I've been doing is that not everyone's comfortable talking about the challenges because they want to pretend that everything's perfect and they've got it all right, even
Yeah,
though that's not true.
yeah, and I think the sort of classic example of that was Enron, wasn't it? And they sort of won loads of awards and celebrated their culture, and yeah, then turned out that maybe wasn't. They should have acknowledged some of the problems a bit sooner. But yeah, I think I definitely see that. I've seen a lot more openness like in the last few years, and actually sort of going to a few conferences and things. Like once you get chatting to people, it's like we've all got the same problems.
Yeah.
Like deep down, like frustration with leaders, and actually like leaders are just doing the best they can, or like
Yeah.
oh people don't read our comms, or how do you get people to training sessions? Like we all have the same problems, and they're sort of
Yeah.
fundamental human problems at the end of the day, I think. So
Yeah, they are.
yeah, there's very little I find that's truly unique.
Mm.
Like yeah, I chat to like the CPO of a construction company or the CPO of another tech company or like someone who works in Formula One. We're like, yeah, we're all thinking about the same things and pointing in the same direction. We're very different industries, but
Yeah.
we're sort of, yeah, we've got the same challenges. How do you sustain high performance? How do you support well-being? How do you make a truly inclusive culture? How do
Right.
you sort of point that towards like the business needs?
Yeah.
It's fairly fundamental, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because people always say to me like, "Oh, do you work in a specific sector?" And I'm like, culture culture isn't exclusive."
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
no, no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's really like it is cross sector. And I was in like public sector for a while, and then education into tech, and yeah, like the pace at which things happen and like the levels of chaos might be slightly different, but the challenges are the same. And like yeah,
Yeah.
culture is still culture, and people still want the things that people want, which is
Yeah.
yeah, safety and
Ah,
comfort and challenge and like all yeah, all those things. So.
yeah, absolutely. So you've shared quite a few rituals with us, Sam. Is there, like an example that you like can think of where you felt like things were like an aha moment, or this feels really like right, this feels really good for us as a culture? Is there kind of a moment that kind of really resonates with you in terms of the experience of culture that you're working on there?
Yeah, it's a very big, like grand example, and I guess like yeah, I sort of I don't know how many companies would have the luxury of doing this, but we went through layoffs in October, and it was really painful. It was obviously like not a great experience for anyone, and followed up with a sort of all company event in February where we brought the whole company together in Amsterdam. And yeah, there's sort of yeah, you have to get over sort of the cynicism and like yeah, of what that happens. Um, which was some people sort of post layoff, I think maybe sort of had that attitude. There's obviously a tight turnaround to deliver it. But we brought everyone together, and the team that put it on did like just a phenomenal job of doing it. It was super cool and it was great. And we had a massive party, and we bought like had so much kind of like time with each other, which didn't really drive the outcomes. I think what was in like the symbolism of we just care enough about you to want to bring you together to talk about the strategy and to provide the clarity that people have been looking for and to show how we're rebuilding. Like just that symbolic gesture of, yeah, we hear the feedback from this and we want to do something about it by really providing some clarity. And also, yeah, there's a chance to socialize and party. Like
Yeah.
that sort of came through, and like we saw that really clearly in like survey results that came through as well. It
Wow.
wasn't the having a drink with people, it was the you've taken the time to explain how our strategy works, and we brought customers onto the stage and listened to our
Wow.
customers,
Yeah.
and like that sort of symbolism.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, for me that moment was like, yeah, I really get it. And
Mm.
it started with the CEO spending, I don't know how long it was, half an hour, 45 minutes, like not a huge amount of time, like just talking about the history. Like when Miro started, and it was just like three people through to
Yeah.
where we are now, which was 1,700 people sat in a massive
Yeah.
warehouse. Like, and that sort of, yeah, the connection, the storytelling,
Mm.
the customer perspective, that for me was like, yeah, this
Wow.
was a big aha moment of like, yeah, why we're doing this and why we go through the ups and downs. Like you need to, like
Yeah. Oh, totally.
so
Yeah.
that was one, and like yeah, it just really sort of yeah stayed in my mind, like what our customers on stage were saying about us,
Mm.
and they were very honest. Like they were like, what are the challenges? What are the problems? Like, and that I think made a huge difference.
Mm. It really resonates with me because I feel like so often one thing that's missing in a lot of businesses and a lot of organizations is that transparency piece. And, when something quite disruptive has happened, it's really easy to kind of brush it under the carpet and just be like, oh, nothing happened, la di da, we just continue. And that's not what people need. They need to feel heard. They need to feel listened to. They need that transparency and that sense of vulnerability. And I think that's just again and kind of connects with that, value of humility is actually we're all human beings who are trying to achieve something together, and we need to all come on that journey together with those, being able to express how that's been for us and how do we move forward. And so few businesses or organizations would maybe have the courage to do that.
Yeah, and I think it is courage, and but yeah, I sort of come back to the word humility as well, and yeah, the humility to say, there's no skirting, and we're not using euphemisms. We laid people off.
Yeah,
It was not fun.
yeah,
Like we're not sort of dressing it up, and I think that acknowledgement that we've been through this and we understand, I think goes a long way.
yeah,
And yeah, and there's something that again I really value at Miro is the level of transparency,
mm,
which is no company could be 100% transparent. You're not going to
yeah,
share all your HR data with everyone, but like we can be as transparent as we can be, and like how that's packaged up into the storytelling, the
yeah,
stories that we tell. I think that translates. It's not
mm,
just transparency for the sake of transparency. We're
yeah,
telling a story, and we're
yeah,
giving you the evidence behind the story and the data and how we made decisions.
yeah,
And so like not everyone's going to agree with the decisions, or like that's fine, but we can be really clear on, well, we thought this was the best course of action at the time because we looked at this data and
yeah,
we took that call.
yeah,
And so I think that starts to foster trust, or
mm,
certainly a sense of involvement, I think.
yeah. Well, absolutely, because I think even that transparency of the decision-making process, because people are very easy to make assumptions about how those things happen. So having that kind of information and it absolutely kind of fosters that trust. And I think there's so much that we can really learn from examples like these. And there's some of the best culture stories I hear is where, CEOs or leaders have been very vulnerable and transparent about some of the very big, uncomfortable decisions they've had to make. But that's only made them more connected to people. It's not lessened them in any way because that many people would probably have come to the same conclusion if they were in their shoes.
Yeah, exactly. I think it sort of really strengthens. And again, like it's not a panacea. You can't vulnerable your way out of a bad situation. It takes time, and I think like layoffs is a good example. You can't just have one vulnerable conversation, it's all fixed. It's like a year of like
Yeah,
you've really got to win that trust back. But
yeah,
yeah,
totally.
I mean, I've definitely sort of seen in previous companies and other companies that have been part of the sort of the I don't know what the word is, like the whitewashing or like some
Culture washing. Yeah.
yeah, and like that. Yeah, you say the right things and then move on. I don't think that
Yeah.
works anymore. I think societally, like nobody's gonna buy that anymore. You've just got to put in the hard yards to really like build that trust back up. And that I think is truly vulnerable leadership that you can last that course.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Like you say, it's not just like, oh, I've ticked the vulnerability box,
Yeah.
moving along.
Yeah. I've said something that sounds like I failed and I've taken accountability, but I'm not going to mention it again. Like you've got to come back to it. You've got to actually sort of demonstrate the progress around it.
Yeah. I shared a small personal anecdote connected to the team. Tick, I am a grounded person.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. There's,
So yeah, and yeah, we're on that journey at the moment. So like, again, that's sort of that's all part of the challenge. Like coming back to a previous question, but it was again like the measure of a culture is how you respond to like
100%.
the worst things that
Yeah.
happen,
Yeah.
and how you bounce back, or if you're willing to bounce back, or and that is hard
Mm.
leadership work.
Oh my gosh, Sam, you've shared so much with us on this podcast. Honestly, I feel like, yeah, there's just been so many moments of wisdom and humility and things that people can learn. Is there anything that you would love people to leave with, or something you want to share with people who are listening that you feel you want to kind of leave them with?
Um, I don't know if I'm the best person to sort of give out. I think my takeaway is that like no culture is ever perfect. It's never fully formed. It's never about what it is in the moment. It's about like angling. Yeah, I think I said it before. Like to like point the culture at what needs to happen, and that I see those same challenges play out, and they're very sort of human challenges. And I think it's really easy in like culture roles, experience roles to look and go, oh, leader doesn't get it, or that team's not buying it, or this program hasn't worked. And I think, yeah, that's probably sort of true in the moment a lot of the time, but it's the cumulative effect of that leader doesn't get it at the moment, but this person does.
Mm, yeah.
Or that team's not buying it, but one person is going to make a big career step because of this training session. And like, yeah, the cumulative effect over time. And
Mm,
yeah, something I always say to my team is like, yeah, whenever it gets frustrating, we sort of look at all this stuff, like, yeah, take a step back and look at where we were 2 years ago. No matter who you are, it's going to be a wildly different place.
yeah.
It's very rare that you're in exactly the same place. And so like just keeping the focus on that momentum and like what
Mm,
that's building towards.
yeah.
And the other thing is just the impossibility, I think, and this is something I sort of talk a lot about Miro, the impossibility of having a crystal clear destination that you're definitely getting to. Like,
Mm,
you're going to be blown off course along the way. I would say, like, I think when it comes to innovation, you can be really clear on the destination, but not know your journey. Or you can be really clear on how you are taking the journey, but not know the destination. Both of those is fine. It's
yeah.
when you don't know what your journey looks like or where you're going that you get into problems.
Yeah.
But I think more and more we're seeing like we know how we go on the journey. We know the roads we need to go down or the car we need to drive, or whatever it is. We might not know exactly where we're getting to, but we know we'll get somewhere.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like that sort of build, iterate approach. Yeah,
Ah,
that's something that yeah, more and more I'm like, yeah, this is where we need to go.
yeah. Well, I think a lot of people are going to resonate with that, Sam, and take a lot of value from that wisdom. So thank you so much for sharing. I feel like I fangirled for like 40, 45 minutes. I'm like, I was so happy. I was like, yes, Mira's going to be on the
I still fangirl or fanboy or just like whichever one it is. I still feel the same about Miro. Like I said, I watched this product demo on Wednesday. It blew my mind. Like just how the ideas that people have, and it's still like I say, I'm 2.5 years in, and I still feel so lucky to be like in this role, like watching these things happen. So
Amazing.
yeah, so I'm always happy to chat about Miro as well.
Well, thank you so much, Sam, for being on the podcast. It's been an absolute joy to chat with you.
Oh no, likewise, and thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it. It's been fantastic.
You've been listening to Make It Thrive, the company culture podcast.